Very good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being on time. And I'm Anupama, Student Recruitment Officer at the University of West London, RAM Branch campus. And I welcome you all to today's session on the topic, 6 strategies to foolproof your career post-COVID. And I wish to state a famous quote by Winston Churchill. A pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity. An optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. And let us not be terrified with the current situation, and we can attempt to listen to the experts around us. And the good thing is that you have already taken the first step. And with that note, I'd like to introduce you to our presenter today, Dr. Sangeet Ibrahim. He's the Director of Enterprise Development and Senior Lecturer at the University of West London, RAM Branch campus. And he's the former VP at the Sharjah Islamic Bank. He's also a well-known corporate trainer, executive coach, and motivational speaker, a TEDx speaker, author, recipient of several prestigious international awards. And he holds a vision that is Mission Inspire 1 Million, to inspire students and to help people, community, and organizations to excel. He also serves as the team leader of the Dubai Quality Award and the Dubai Human Development Awards, run by the Department of Economic Development under Dubai government. He is also a regular keynote speaker at most of the leading human development conferences held in UAE. He has published several papers, and he was awarded the Asian HR Leadership Award in 2012. And in 2014, he was awarded the Rising Star recognition by PSG Institute of Management. And in 2016, he was honored with the prestigious Sheikh Hamdan Award. And he has conducted various personality development workshops for youth, parents, teachers, and youth in cooperation with several leading voluntary organizations. And with that note, so let's start today's session. And towards the end, we will have a separate Q&A session. And if you have any questions, you can type it in the chat window available. It will be visible when you click on the double arrow option on the right bottom of your screen. Okay, so let's begin. And Dr. Sangeet will take it forward from here.
Thank you, Anupama. Thanks a lot for the lovely introduction. Brothers and sisters, good evening. It's a pleasure to be with all of you, and I really hope and pray that the session will be useful and beneficial. You can of course type your questions in the chat box as Anupama suggested. Alternately, I'm just posting a link in the chat box. You can click on that link, and I can see it on my screen as well. It's a Padlet wall. So all your questions will be consolidated. Probably others could also see it, and it's presented in a better way. So let me tell you why this session is extremely important for me. I've been doing several webinars in the last couple of months. In fact, we've had so many webinars, people are now tired of it. We call it webinar fatigue. It's like saying, oh my God, not one more. But this one is particularly relevant. I think the topic is very relevant. I would say probably the most relevant topic of the day, because I think, as Jack Ma said, this is a year for all of us to survive. So people who are working in the corporate space, we need to really find ways to survive, because the economy, as you know, is not doing very well, and we are not expecting any miracles very soon. So if I may quote Winston Churchill, Anupama, I would like to start the session as a pessimist, and then, because we have to be realistic, and then we start moving towards optimism towards the middle and the end of the session. So let me tell you why I said that this session is important, is because I work as a trainer and a coach. My job is to help other people perform better. So when I say perform better, what I mean is people working in an organization, I want to make sure that they meet and exceed the expectations of the stakeholders. That could be the managers, that could be the division heads, that could be the CEO, that could be the board members, that could be the shareholders. Yeah. And I thought that I was doing a good job, because I was doing this from 2007 onwards. year. So we have projects in which people who score poorly in the performance appraisal system are given to us, and we work with them, we coach them, we train them, and we help them succeed. But a lot of my perceptions changed last year when I got an opportunity to be part of an employee right sizing project. Now, right sizing is a beautiful word, but frankly speaking, it's an employee downsizing project. So the whole objective of the project is to reduce the manpower of an organization. Now, when I started involving in this project, I didn't have an official title, but I was the project manager. I was also involved in the high level committees. What I realized is, oh my God, the way the right sizing organizations, I don't want to drop names, okay, but particularly now these organizations are in demand. They're going around selling their services to all the big corporations out here, saying that, boss, you want to reduce cost, come to us, we'll reduce costs for you. So the way they look at employees and the work is very different. The lens that they use is extremely different. So when I started involving with them, listening to their questions, trying to provide answers to their questions, the data that they ask, I realized that if a right sizing company comes and look at our work right now, most of us would be at risk, okay, because they're looking for particular things. Do we comply with those standards? So today I want to share with you my experience of having been in that project, so that we all, I think we all need to think differently and work differently, because let's be realistic, it's extremely challenging for corporate stakeholders. Let's empathize with them. For them, they have to sustain the company must go on. Yes, employees are important, their dreams are important, their loans are important, their obligations are important, but organizations have to cut costs, period. Why? Because revenue has dried down, and we are not looking at a huge surge in revenues anytime in the future. The predictions are pretty conservative and modest. So if they have to remain profitable, they have to cut costs. Okay. So I want to bring in certain aspects from a right sizing project manager's perspective and certain aspects from a trainer and a coach. But sisters and brothers, my request is you need to start acting differently. You need to start thinking differently. Attending this webinar is fine. Let me look at the number of people. I think we've got 54 till now. We'll probably have around 80 towards the end. Attending this webinar is just probably 5% of the challenges. You need to really go pick certain things that we discuss here today, go and implement them, so that we can all hold our heads above water and survive. Okay. So now, with your permission, Anupama, in case I get stuck or I have a problem, sharing the screen, please do help me out. So let me start sharing the content with your permission. Okay, it says application. Let me start sharing the application window first of all. Anupama, I hope you can see the screen, right? The PPT is visible.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Wonderful. Okay. Let me first talk about this wonderful organization that I'm a part of right now. And why is this relevant? Well, one way to make each one of us unique is to have relevant qualifications that can help our stakeholders. So the University of West London started in the 17th century, somewhere in the 1860s. It's rated among the top 10 modern universities in the UK, rated as the #1 modern university in London. 98% of students find employment within 6 months of graduating. So it's been nicknamed the career university. Now, the beauty is there's a campus in Ras Al Khaimah. It's a branch campus, which is run with the same standards as the parent campus. We've got faculty members flying down, okay, conducting thorough quality assurance programs, and the qualification is also the same. So in case you want to join us for an MBA, probably in the second year or so, you can move on to the London campus and pass out from there. So I've got the name of the person who introduced me, who welcomed you to the session. Her name is Anupama. Her phone number and email ID is given there. So in case you would like to join us, I would be one of your faculty members if you do. We would love to support you take that journey. Okay, so let me start by talking about the stress levels that everybody is facing. Everybody is stressed. Business owners are stressed. Kids are stressed. Employees are stressed. Everybody is stressed. Now, the problem with stress, well, as an organizational psychologist, let me tell you, it's natural to be stressed. If you're not stressed right now, it means there's a problem, because the human mind usually gets stressed, highly stressed, because of these five reasons. One, if they anticipate illness or pain or death, and we experience it every day because we've got COVID running its mad dance all around us. When we face uncertainties, so are we facing uncertainty now? Exactly, we are. Yeah. Rejection, so rejection is when someone comes and tells you, sorry, you'll have to you'll have to leave the organization. So that is rejection, right? Failure, the moment we are asked to leave, some of us will tend to, we won't look at it as an event, we'll tend to label ourselves as failures. And of course, you lose your control. You've got visa issues, you've got loan issues, so every plan goes awry. So it's natural for people to worry. But if you can look at the screen, you can see a purple button. It's called the amygdala. Now, this amygdala is what, it's called the fear center of the brain. That's what starts working very actively when you're stressed. But the problem with the amygdala is, when the amygdala is active, that green part of your brain is your thinking brain, your logical, rational brain. It's called the neocortex. Okay, now that neocortex is switched off. Now, amygdala is very selfish. So the moment it gets stressed, it wants all the resources to protect you. So your thinking brain is switched off. So what I want to tell you is, it's okay to be stressed, but you also need to wrest control from the amygdala and start thinking, because we have to think differently, we have to act differently, we have to be proactive, right? There's no point sitting back and waiting for any bad consequence to ensue. I hope it doesn't, but we cannot sit back and do that. We have to start acting right now. Another thing, brothers and sisters, is stress is not bad, okay? Because we have two kinds of stress. If you can see the graph here, you have the eustress and the distress. Okay, eustress is good stress. So it sort of shakes you from the comfort zone. It makes your memory, it makes you focused. Your memory becomes active. So you're basically trying to do something positive. Yeah, it's called eustress. But when you have eustress for a long time, you start getting distressed. So that's when your blood pressure goes up, and people start getting anxiety problems. Some of them might slip into depression and so on. So what we want to do is, we want to keep you in the green yellow belt. Now this green yellow belt will allow you to take positive action. You will not sit back and say, everything is okay, all this is these are just rumors, people are exaggerating. No, this will move you. So I'm so happy that we're all stressed. Okay, good stress. So we'll have to make sure that we maintain that stress in that manner. Sisters and brothers, once again, I've got that link for the questions down there. At any point during this webinar, if you want to disagree with me, if you want to say something, if you want to ask a question, please feel free to do that. Okay, so first, let me be very pessimistic, because I'm not here to tell you, guys, everything is okay, hunky dory, don't worry, like a typical motivational speaker. I want to tell you the truth as it is, because it's important for you to know the enemy to defeat the enemy. You need to move out of the comfort zone, and you need to tell yourself that whatever happens, okay, it's not the end of the world. We will handle it appropriately. Okay. So I want to start showing you a small video. So let's start with that. Let me open that up. Okay, so oh, thank God we've got 62 now. Share the screen. Share the application on the screen. It says entire window. Just a second. Anupama, can you see the video?
No, sir, it's not visible.
Because I've clicked on entire screen.
Okay. So you have
And
clicked
then
on the share application, and
yes.
that's
Can
you have to select. Yes,
yeah,
it is
can you see
visible.
it now? Okay, wonderful.
Yes,
So
yes.
let's start off with this video with the sound. Yeah. I've got another one, which is from Mary Angelo, I believe. Just give me a second. Uh, let me keep that for later. Okay, guys, from my experience, what I've realized. Where's the click screen button now? Just give me a second. Share application screen. And Puma, you can see the screen, right? The PPT screen.
Yes, yes, it's visible.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. What I've realized, ladies and gentlemen, is as a counselor and a coach, sometimes we think that we are the only ones with problems, okay, or our problems are overwhelming. But frankly speaking, if you can really open up and speak to people and listen to the problems of others, you realize that, oh my God, you keep your problems, I'll keep mine. We'll never be ready to exchange your problems with anybody. So problems have a limited lifespan. We'll have to keep trying. If we don't quit and if we keep trying, it's impossible to fail. Okay, and what we need to realize is every problem will change you. Sometimes it can make you sore, it can make you totally disillusioned with what's happening, it can make you negative, it can make you resentful, or it can make you stronger, it can make you more resolved, it can make you wiser. So you can choose to allow the problem to make the right changes in you. Okay, so having said that, I would like to start getting into the negative aspects of being the pessimist. Yeah. Now, on screen, what you see is the situation of the economy right now. So take a look at the screen and see where your industry is, the industry that you're working in. The only industries which are healthy right now are food, retail, food and beverages and retail. So you know why? Okay, because people still want to eat. So if you're working in that industry, you can heave a long sigh of relief. You know, you can say, ah, household products, pharmaceuticals, and telecommunication. Those industries which are called pressured are, for example, software, utilities, financials, tech hardware, professional services, transport, and similar industries. But if you look down, if those are the industries that you're working in, for example, media, retailing, it doesn't mean food, all the other retail outlets, insurance, banks, real estate, okay, auto means the entire aviation industry and you know the automobile industry, hospitality, durable goods, and energy. Those are highly vulnerable, where you're talking about almost 30 to 40% of their share prices have come down, the capitalization have come down, and they're facing serious issues. So look where you are and then take a realistic opinion of how secure your job is and how secure your organization is. My advice is, if you belong to the bottom segment, the vulnerable sector, then you need to really sit up and start taking notice and taking the right actions. Okay. Let me now think exactly like a business owner. So let's all shift. Most of you are employees here. I know that some business owners have also joined in. Okay, probably they want to know what strategies employees will use so they can come up with better strategies. Let's start thinking as employers here, as business owners here. What have they been doing? So this is in fact outcomes of a study that we conducted. We spoke to more than 65 senior management officials. We asked them, what are you planning to do? Now, first is they could look at customer facing strategies. They can try to reduce the price. They can try to give offers to customers. They can try to retain the customers. They can try to steal customers from others. Okay, they might come up with weird things to get customers. But frankly speaking, guys, that's not working. Okay, so what they're trying to do is they're trying to reduce costs. So how are they reducing costs? So you need to clearly know where your organization is. Is it in wave 1, wave 2, or wave 3? Wave 1, they're trying to reduce unwanted expenditure, eliminate travel, cancel events, no more incentives, no trainings, no marketing, no increments and bonuses. Fair. Okay, now there's nothing to worry there. But still, if they feel that the profits are going to go down and things are going to look bad, they will go to wave 2. Wave 2 is when they start reducing salaries. Okay, so now while we're having this webinar, business owners are seriously thinking about this. Should we go to wave 2 or wave 3? Okay, should we reduce process inefficiencies? Now this is dangerous. Now I'm speaking purely from the point of view of an employee. The moment an organization says reduce process inefficiencies, what they're trying to do is they're trying to cut costs. When you say process inefficiencies, maybe the process is taking too long. Maybe they don't need people. They can use technology to get things done. Maybe there are too many people doing the same thing. Well, we can't blame people. Usually that's because the culture of the organization is very control oriented. Okay, but they've always had that culture for whatever reason. Suddenly when profits go down and when they face a situation, they wake up to reality and they say, let us reduce process inefficiencies. Eliminate redundancies. Now, eliminate redundancy is a very dangerous word. What it means is, in an organization, if you have different people doing the same kind of job, when I say same kind of job, let's say entering data into the computer. I'm just giving an example. So you could have somebody entering data into the computer in the HR department. You could have somebody entering data into the computer in the purchasing department. Now, if the nature of the work is the same, then they would say, oh, there are redundancies. We could either combine those jobs or we can ask somebody to leave. Now, again, who is to be blamed? If the organization had a very good recruiting policy from day one, where one manager says, I need a person to enter data, if the recruitment company had asked, why do you need it? What is the nature of the job? Can we take somebody else working in this organization and maybe he's not 100% occupied, can we use them? Then the situation wouldn't have happened. But as I said, when things are hunky-dory, when markets are up, business is good, people start collecting empires, where recruiting people without really thinking and so on and so forth. They're trying to get supply concessions. So they're coming to banks, they're coming to even building owners, real estate owners, suppliers, and telling them, Habibi, give us 30, 40% discounts and so on. Targeted closure, they're closing certain products, closing certain branches, closing certain plants. The next one is very dangerous, adjusting management spans. Now, I'll talk about it more, but the best practice in the industry is to have 4 or 5 reportees for every manager. But sometimes in organizations, people get promoted to managerial positions just because the person has been there for a long time or the person has been doing well, and maybe he has got only 1 person reporting to him or 2 people reporting to him. Now, this is seen as a red flag. Okay, so what they'll try to do is they'll try to consolidate reportees and then remove the manager. Outsourcing, again, a huge risk for people. Insourced people. Offshoring, when the work is sent off to different countries. Okay, so this is wave 2, which has a lot of issues. Wave 3 is when none of these rules are applied. Khalas. The company says we're on fire, lay off. So yesterday I happened to see a report about an organization, a very prominent organization. They've come up with a huge number. Now this is standard, asking people to leave. Or you divest the whole business. So you're saying we're going to sell it off. We cannot manage to run this. So there are vulture investors out here who are looking for companies who are facing problems so they can buy them. This is a good time to buy them. Okay. So before getting into employee right sizing, guys, I want to do a little bit of a build awareness on personalities. Now, while I'm explaining these, just see where you fit in. Okay. Typically in the organizational space, of course, there are a lot of models. DISC is a very popular model. It's a DISC model. It's a psychometric tool used for recruitment, used for development. So people are classified either as D, I, S, C. Okay. Now D's are those people who are, who wants results quickly. They immediately act. They like to compete. They don't really care where the other person is hurt. They're very demanding, very direct. They can get into arguments. They can push you. Okay. Now, when I say this, ask yourself, are you a D? Okay. Somebody who doesn't mind taking risks, somebody who always talks about big results quick, the fast talker, slightly aggressive personality type. I personality types, I'm a typical I personality type. Now, these are people who love to talk. These are people who love to have people around them, who love to have group activities. They're very passionate when they speak. They like building bonds. They love social recognition. They like everybody to like them. They inspire people. So think about yourself. Are you belonging to the I category? Now you have the C type. The C type are those who have the whole world revolves around perfection. So for them, everything has to be accurate. So if you are a C and listening to my webinar, already you would have found 10 mistakes. The color is not right. He's speaking too fast, or whatever. Not because they're nasty, but because they have very high standards, and they want everybody to follow the standards. Okay, and then you have the S category. Now, when I'm speaking about the S category, I have to be very mild because I love them as people, because these are the people who are always performing in a consistent, predictable manner. Very calm and stable. They'll come on time, they'll leave on time. They're very loyal. They wouldn't jump jobs. They would be the ones who stay in a company for many for 10, 15 years. Very patient. When the boss says do it, they'll do it. They will never say no. They're relationship oriented, but not like the I's. They have deep relationships, very supportive. They're nice guys. But why I mention this, guys? Usually when there is a layoff, who do you think is the first one to be let off? Or if you take 100 people who are fired from an organization, which segment would constitute the majority? Now, if you said yes, you guessed it right. Though they are loyal, though they are patient, though they are quiet, though they are hardworking, though they don't say no to the boss, though they help people, they are the first ones to be asked to leave. So the S's in this room, okay, attending my webinar today, we love you. While I was in the professional and the corporate world, my entire focus was on supporting the S's, trying to help the S's come forward. So you will have to be conscious, a little more conscious than the others, and you need to probably work more harder. Okay. So guys, let me now explain to you certain ratios. Now these ratios are things that you need to be aware of, because managers are now looking hard at these ratios. The first ratio is called the payroll to revenue ratio. So in a company, you add up the entire amount that is spent on people, salaries, benefits, everything, divided by the total sales the organization is making. So if an organization's total cost is 20 and the total sales is 100, then payroll to revenue ratio is 20%. Now, what should be the ideal payroll to revenue ratio? It's between 9 to 25%, because different industries it's different. But somewhere around 20 is healthy. Now see what has happened. Now the revenue has fallen considerably. And because of that, the payroll to revenue ratio of organizations have gone up to 30%, 40%, 50%. So it's natural that they would want to cut costs. How would they cut costs? Remember the previous slide? Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. So let's hold on because it's coming. Unless revenue shoots up, which we don't anticipate, most organizations, and we can't blame them, would get into cutting costs. The second one is managers as a percent of total employees. Now, a manager is definitely paid more, right, than the employees. So the right percentage is around 13%. Okay, so that means every manager will have 5 to 6 people reporting. When a company is sending people off, okay, normally they will start with normal employees. So when normal employees go, this manager percentage will go up. So to correct that, the managers will also be asked to leave. And the third most important thing is look at your department. In your department, if the average number of leave that people take per day, I'm talking about per month, per year, I'm talking about sick leave. Okay, if it's around 3 to 4, then from a right sizing perspective, it is safe. But in your department, if there are people who are taking on an average 7 to 8, the market average 3. So what the right sizing companies will do is they'll come and they'll look at your sick leave and they'll say, in this department there are averages 6. That means every employee is taking on an average 3 days more than the market. Now, if your department has got 20 employees, that means it is 60. 20 into 360 productive days lost. So immediately they'll say, "Oh, we see an opportunity. Let us send some people off, cut sick leave, because even with these sick leaves, the work is going on. So we can reduce the sick leave, we can terminate people, and we can reduce the cost. So that's extremely, extremely dangerous." Guys, I don't see any questions coming. I only have one question from an entrepreneur. You can look at the chat box. The link is there, and you can definitely ask us questions. Okay. So now, uh, ladies and gentlemen, please be with me. I want to share with you what a right sizing company will do. So now, if you're working in a small organization, don't worry. I don't think a right sizing company will come to you. But if you're working in a big multinational, in a bank, okay, 90% chances that a right sizing project will be carried out. Okay, so one of the things that they will do is they'll come and implement a software. Now, what the software does is the software will sit on your PC and the software will look at the time that you're productive. So if you're working on Excel, it will tell you that Sangeet was working on Excel from this time to this time. When you're working on Word, it will tell you that he was doing this on Word. Okay. If you have a IP telephone, it will also capture the telephone logs. Parallelly, if you have a meeting, what you'll have to do is you'll have to open the software and say, "I'm attending a meeting." Now, this software is run for almost 2 months. Now, the problem is, of course, employers will tell you when they're doing this because there are privacy issues. The problem is, what I've seen is the first 1 week or so, people will start doing it very religiously. But after that, you get caught up in your daily work and you start neglecting this software, even if you know that your work is at stake. And I've seen reports which say that some people have been working only 40% of the time because they work for 8 hours in a day, and the activity logged is only for in total somewhere around 3 to 4 hours. So please don't do that. In case there is a time watcher software that is implemented, make sure that you enter the data religiously. And another approach, what people do is they give you an Excel sheet and they ask you to enter everything that you do. It's called an average day schedule. Why an average day? Because while you're working, there might be some things that you do every day, some things that you do once a week, some things that you do once a month. But in this sheet, you will have to write everything. So whatever you do on a monthly basis, you will have to ask yourself, if I was doing it daily, how many hours or how many minutes am I doing it? And so you add that together. So you present it. Now, this was a disaster. What I've seen is most people do not do it religiously. Okay, so they think it's okay. Some of them actually overdo it. I've sometimes seen Excel sheets where if you add the time, it comes to 17 hours. So people are only working for 7 to 8 hours. Yeah, so that is seen as a hoax. In some cases, it is seen as you're working only for 3 to 4 hours. So this is suicidal. And the industry standard is you should be working only for 80% of your time because you'll go to the washroom, you have meetings. Okay, so when you're asked to do that, because I had the opportunity to work on so many of these workload analysis sheets for so many different departments. So make sure that you do service. I'm not telling anybody to cheat the system, but please do full justice to your work. Okay, and ladies and gentlemen, please understand that what the outsourcing companies will look at is they will ask you for key performance indicators. Now, KPIs, if your job, for example, is to enter checks into the system, they will ask you, okay, you're spending 5 hours a day entering checks. How many checks have you entered last year? Or if you're creating proposals, or if you're making phone calls, they'll immediately ask you for the KPI. Now, you can't blame the employee. Most organizations don't have a system of tracking as yes, sales is tracked, call center calls are tracked, but operational work is very seldom tracked. But when the outsourcing company comes and when they ask you, okay, you're saying that you're doing, 4 hours a day, you're doing this, show us the numbers. Now, you can't blame the employee. The company doesn't have it in place. But from now on, please understand that nobody cares how busy you are. What they're looking for is how is that adding to business results. So if a guy is running on the court from morning to evening, it doesn't add to anything. But every time he scores a point, it should be on the board. So please make sure that whatever work you do, have the numbers in place. Okay, if it is processing checks, creating proposals, making phone calls, doing whatever, have the numbers in place because you might be asked to justify it. Another huge mistake I've seen is when a manager prepares a workload analysis, usually it is very similar to that of the reportee. So naturally they'll look up it and saying he's doing the same work as a reportee, but why is he getting 30% more salary? So the manager should have more strategic things, setting goals, motivating people, solving problems, building relationships, and fighting issues and stuff like that. So please keep that in mind. Reduce your sick leave days. Okay, guys, please listen to me very ardently, because when you write your work down, which I assume most organizations will request this in the future, immediate future, one of the things they look at is if you write it in a very normal way, they'll say that there are other people in the organization doing the same work and they are only productive 60%. So why don't we combine 2 or 3 of them so that we can ask 3 or 4 of these people to leave? So please do justice to your role. When you document it, document why your process is different. Document why your process is specialized, because sometimes it needs specialized knowledge. Sometimes it's very critical. Okay, it could be related to compliance. It could be related to stakeholder satisfaction. So please make sure that you document it. Do justice to yourself. Okay, now the last point here is there's a very crazy analysis that they do. They'll look at, let's say you are a department called recruitment and you are 8 and the whole department is 20. Okay, so 8 by 20 is what, 40%? Yeah, 40%, right? Yeah, 8 by 20 is 40%. So you're 40% of the manpower. Then they look at they look at your workload analysis, and then they will say the total time that your department spends compared to the total time the whole function spends. If that is also around 40-50%, it is fine. But if that is around 20%, that means, oh, you're overstaffed. Okay, so please be aware from now on. Make sure that everything that you do is documented. Everything that you do is documented in a specialized manner, which explains the worthiness of what you do. And please make sure that you have KPIs in place. Show the number of the work that you're doing. Let me stop sharing for a second, and probably been speaking for long, and let me see whether there's anything on the chat box. Somebody says Kashif is asking, sorry to bring this out, but could you please repeat the part where people will be asked to leave? Kashif, I'm not saying it in a fatalistic manner, okay, but what organizations are doing is I told you about the manpower to the revenue ratio, right? How much an organization spends for its people divided by what it earns as revenue. This should be approximately around 20, 22, 23%. Now, because revenues have fallen, organizations will have to bring costs down. And how do they bring costs down? They first do wave 1, which we talked about, removing unnecessary expenditures, stopping training. Training is not unnecessary, but that's what most people do. Option 2 is where they will start looking at processes. Do we really need so many people? Why should this process take so long? Can we automate it? Can we reduce the process and reduce people? Okay, that's exactly what I'm doing, Kashif. Yeah, hope you're getting it. And then that is wave 2. Okay, wave 2 is redundancy. Now, redundancy is if, for example, Sangeet is doing webinar, there is somebody else doing webinar. Okay, and Sangeet is doing webinar for 50% of the time, the other guy is doing it 50% of the time. Why do you need two Sangeets? Okay, so one is asked to leave. So that is redundancy. That's wave 2. And wave 3 is where khalas, none of these rules are there. Indiscriminately, people will be asked to leave. Unfortunately, we are now seeing situations where it has come to that kind of a stage. Hope I've answered your question, Kashif. This whole session is being recorded. Anupama will be sharing the information with you, so you can go through it again. And of course, this is my email address as well, in case you want anything particular. You can see that. Okay, now let's talk about specific strategies otherwise. Okay, application window. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we now come to the positive part. Okay, we had enough of pessimism. As somebody who has actually been in a right sizing project, please take my words as advice from a brother. What you need to do is from now on, if you have started working from the office, or even if you're on Zoom calls or Microsoft Teams, you need to have a conversation with your manager. You need to go and ask your manager, we can improve our processes. Okay, you need to position yourself as a champion. You need to behave in a way which conveys to your stakeholders that you understand the problems of the business and you are a partner. Okay, trust me, only 5 to 10% of people will do this. Rest of them will still sit back with inertia, just gossiping with each other, saying that, oh my god, we're going to be fired and stuff like that, without doing anything positive about it. So how can you make yourself unique? You need to, first of all, get into a conversation with your manager saying that we understand. Start thinking like, we call it entrepreneur. Start thinking like a business owner. Say that, what can we do to support the organization now? How can we improve the process? Okay, how can we? So what you do is you look at work coming into your department. There's a request, and how long do you take to finish that process? 2 days? Is there any way that you can make it in 1 day or half a day? How can you reduce complexity and time? Start thinking along those lines and start communicating to your manager along those lines. Speak to your customers. Okay, I had a very bad experience. Even now, I was trying to get a insurance deal. So I had called up 3-4 insurance companies. None of them responded. Some of them sent me 30-40 page brochures which nobody would have the time and the inclination to look at. And they were not answering my questions properly. So please, this is the time to be in touch with your internal and external customers. Speak to them, understand the pain, communicate it to your manager. Say that we don't want customers to leave us. Can we do something about it? If there are repeated mistakes and errors that are happening, try to understand why they're happening, try to get the root causes and try to solve it. So I would request all of you to change your avatars. Okay, because these are strange situations. These are weird situations. So to survive, we all have to change the way we work and change the way we think. So you'll have to have conversations with your manager saying that there is a way to reduce cost. There is a way to reduce complexity. The customer has a problem. Can we solve it? Become a champion for the organization to reduce costs. Okay. And please, guys, forget about your job description. This is the time for you to say, I'm ready to take additional responsibilities. You'll have to start behaving like a person on probation. From now on, we are all on probation. So your question should be, how can I add more value? It's not about, oh, this is what I was recruited to do, I'm so busy. Okay. And if there's something that you don't know, you can learn to do. You can learn to do. Now, to learn, of course, you can come to our university. If you can take an amazing postgraduate course for that. Okay. Or you can use portals like edX for short-term courses. I don't know whether you know about this. There are courses on edX. It takes 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, absolutely free, where you can get certifications for certain skills from universities like MIT and Harvard and Berkeley and Boston. The beauty is you'll have to pay for it only. We have to pay only for the certificate. So and even that's around $125, $150. So these are short-term skills, not professional qualifications, but you can definitely learn. You don't know about Six Sigma, learn about Six Sigma. Okay, you don't know about customer journey mapping, know about customer journey mapping. Find ways. You don't know about ways to reduce errors. Okay, the 5S method, learn about it and find ways to add value. Now, towards we have reached probably the last 15 minutes, 20 minutes of the session. I would like to leave some time for questions after that. What I want to do is, even if we go through this hard period, okay, let's say we go through this hard period and all of us by God's grace have survived, okay, guys, please understand that managers, stakeholders tend to divide employees in an organization under 3 categories. I don't know whether you knew about it. Okay, first is the engaged employee. Now the engaged employee behaves exactly like, why is the word engaged? As if you have fallen in love with your organization. So imagine the days when you were engaged, the first few days, the courtship days, where you think about the person, you're always with the person, you do everything for the person. Okay, so engaged employees are those who are always working more than others, passionately, okay, giving more. Then you have the not engaged employees. Not engaged employees are like, I come in the morning, I leave in the evening. This is my job description, I'll do it. Third is the actively disengaged people. These are the people who come late, who gossip, who try to make problems for others, and who was fighting with the managers and so on. So now my question is not which category you belong to. Okay, the question is, what would, if I ask your boss and ask your boss to rate you, where would he put you? Now that's an important question. I'm not asking you where do you think you would fit in. I'm asking you, where do you think your boss would put you? Because guys, if I use the word Maserati, you would say things like, the words that come to your mind will be posh, luxury. Okay, if I use the word Apple, you would say stylish, innovative. Now, if somebody says the word Sangeet, or somebody uses your name, what words will your boss use? Will my boss use to describe me? That is extremely important from now on. Extremely important from now on. So how can you get into that engaged employee bracket? So today I want to share with you research, which I had conducted with over 133 top performing employees. We brought together top performing employees from companies, and we conducted research, asked their managers as to what they do differently, okay, and what makes them engaged, or why do you consider them a star. So it's in fact a published research which forms the heart and soul of my book, Destination Success. I'm not trying to sell the book here, in case, because I get a lot of inquiries later, so in case people say, where can we get this? Destination Success is a bestseller on Amazon. You can get it from Amazon. But what I have for you are 15 or 16 strategies which all of us can do. All of us can do to get into the engaged bracket, but very few of us do it. So let me take you through these. Point number 1, promoting your organization on social media, visible to superiors. Many of us are on LinkedIn. Our bosses are on LinkedIn. You spend hell a lot of time on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. Okay, how many of you have actually promoted your own organization on LinkedIn? I'm sure less than 5 to 10%. This is a great way for you to show to your boss that you are passionate about your organization, and then you're about to do more. So from now on, spend more time on LinkedIn. Anything about your organization, please start promoting that. Come up with valid ideas for new products or improvements to existing products. How can you do that? You can, of course, speak to customers. You might tell me, oh, I'm not in the product department. I'm not in sales. I'm not a manager. I'm in HR. But regardless of where you are, these are what engaged employees do. What you need to do is come up with product, with improvements to products and services. It's easy. It's very easy to do that. Try to locate better suppliers. Every department, every organization depends on external suppliers. So the organization might be paying X amount right now. Don't wait to be told. The secret to be in the engaged group is to say, I must, before your boss says you must. Okay? So try to locate, speak to your friends, do some research, identify better suppliers who can save costs for your organizations. Okay, it might be, it has probably does nothing to do with your regular work, but please understand, from now on we are all on probation. Okay. Point 4, speak to customers and get their concerns. Yeah, speak to customers. You can find maybe your relatives deal with your organization. Find ways to speak to customers. When they say, I was not happy with this, bring it to the notice of your boss. Study competitor information. It is so easy now to study competitor information because of social media. Okay, you just go to the Facebook page or the Instagram page or LinkedIn. You know what people are doing, you know what organizations are planning to do. Collect this information and to bring it to the notice of the stakeholders. 6, study industry trends. One thing that I used to do when I used to head learning and development is I used to every now and then go and Google latest trends in learning and development. You could do the same. Latest trends in purchasing, latest trends in HR, latest trends in operations, latest trends in operational excellence, latest trends in technology, latest trends in digitization. Bring it together, bring it to the notice of stakeholders. Point 7, in your organization, you might have new joiners, of course, not now, but in the good old days, and of course later, and underperformers. Reach out. If you find that somebody is struggling, find ways, because if that person starts performing, the top line of the organization goes up and you're adding value. Point 8, guys, please do this. Something that a lot of people are very scared to do, or a lot of people are skeptical of doing. Ask for feedback and feed forward. What I used to do personally is I was one of the star employees, but I used to still go and ask my manager once in 2 to 3 months. Don't keep it as part of formal employee performance appraisal. Ask the person, are you happy with my performance? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate my performance? Okay, if the person tells you 7, say that thank you. Next is feed forward. Okay, what do you think I should do to make it 10? 2 simple questions which will prompt people to think about you and to give you suggestions. Once you've implemented that, go back to the manager after 1 month and say, you know what, you told me I've done this. Have you noticed it? So this is one way to be considered a star. Okay, find ways to streamline processes and ways to work smarter. We've already covered that in the previous section of how to handle work during right sizing days. Point number 10, study benchmarking information. What is benchmarking information? If you are, for example, a retail company, okay, and you do a process in a particular way, reach out to your friends, do some research, understand what the best organizations in your industry are doing. How long do they take? What are the steps that they take? Find that information and share it with relevant superiors. Now, guys, I have not made any of these up. These are all points that we got through research when we identified those super performers. And these were the things that they were choosing to do apart from the regular work. And this is what made them among the engaged lot. Okay. Point number 11, extremely important. Seek out organizational priorities and align your work with them. I'll give you an example. We had in one of the organizations that I worked in a couple of years back, they were changing the entire ERP system. So this was an organization-wide project. Everybody was involved. Okay. If something like that is happening, find ways to get into it. You might have nothing to do with it now. Your department might have nothing to do with, but please find ways to somehow get in. Speak to the project manager and then come and speak to your manager. There must be some way for you to get involved because you have to be part of critical strategic projects. Every time you do something nice for people, don't be ashamed to ask them for thank you notes. Tell them that, I'm collecting appreciations. I used to shamelessly do that. If I do something significant, I would say, hey guys, could you send us an email? Okay, because managers have very short memories. You need to be able to collect them and show them. Okay. Inform your manager about your achievements, and do it in such a way that your manager's manager, in fact, there are different categories of people you have to keep satisfied. One is your manager, second is your manager's peers, okay, people who are managers of other departments, and then your manager's manager. So you need to find ways where your good work is noticed. So what I used to do is I used to send a thank you email to my boss saying that, this month we achieved 1, 2, 3, and I thank you for the support. Or we used to create a small newsletter and then ask the manager to share it, because the manager also wants to feel good. Okay. Uh, Talking about learning again, learning, please guys, take qualifications, get certifications. Uh, 2 days back, I was speaking to an employee of DHA. Okay, now this person contacted me because the person wanted a training. So I was speaking to this person, a lady. I don't want to give more details. Must be in her 40s, 50s, 50s. So this lady happened to be from the south of Kerala, okay, of India, from India. So I asked her, Madam, is everything okay? Yours is an industry where there is a lot of nationalization happening. I'm surprised that you are in a senior position. And then she shifted to Arabic, and she said the reason why I'm here is because I'm very fluent in Arabic. Because she was working in Lebanon before, and then she learned the language. So we've all, I mean, I'm talking about people who've been in the UAE, including myself. We've all been here for so many years. Being bilingual is one sure way to hold on to your job now, because during right sizing projects, if somebody is bilingual, particularly the language of the land, the chances of them being asked to leave would be less than the chances of a monolingual person being asked to leave. So try to learn the language. It's never too late. Point number 15, this is my the last point among the list. Please find mentors, and LinkedIn is a great place to get mentors. Now if you get a mentor is somebody who can give the experience to you. Okay. You can extremely come. So I used to do mentor hunting. I used to call it mentor hunting. Now these people can give you ideas, these people can support you, these people can even help you in case you lose a job. Okay. Type of people to look for: people who are working in the same industry as you're in, okay, but at a larger scope. For example, me, when I was working in learning and development in a bank, I have to look at somebody who's taking care of learning and development at the MENA level, okay, at the international level. Somebody who's 2 to 3 stages ahead of you, okay. Talented peers in other parts of the business. They could be totally, I mean, outside your domain, but if you know that they're stars, they're successful. Your job in different industries, if you're working as a purchase manager in a real estate industry, in the real estate industry, try to connect with your contemporaries in other industries, maybe in hospitality, maybe in medical services. Also look for young mentors. Young mentors are people who can help you with social media, help you with robotics and gadgets and stuff like that. Okay. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I think as to keep up time, I just can't go on and on and on. One of the activities that you can start doing right now, if you're not on LinkedIn, just to be on the safer side. May God Almighty keep your jobs. May God Almighty keep your organizations. And may none of these happen. Okay. So you can forget the first part of what I said. Start focusing on these 15 strategies today, so that you be considered among the engaged people, because data research shows that engaged people are not fired as often as not engaged and actively disengaged. But it is still very wise to start looking out. So one activity that you can do is on LinkedIn, start searching for keywords: recruitment, talent management, talent attraction. Okay. And then send connection requests. Put a target that I will have 100 recruiters from different companies connected to me. The second project you can use is just Google 100 top companies in the UAE. I just said UAE. I know that there are people from different parts of the world here. Search for your industry, your geographical area. You'll get a list. Okay. In UAE, I think the top companies are: the first company is Fab, First Abu Dhabi Bank. Second is Etisalat. There are a lot of companies. Search for these companies on LinkedIn. whoever you find over there, connect with them. So when you send out connection requests to maybe 50 people, 10 of them might accept it. But again, that depends on how strong your profile is, how quickly. I mean, LinkedIn is not a scope of today's session. If you're interested, maybe we could do another session for that, because LinkedIn is now the #1 Google for recruiters. So if you, in this period when everybody's job is shaky, if you don't have an active LinkedIn page and a LinkedIn strategy which you're updating, trying to project the best version of yourself, I think it's suicidal. Guys, the example that I use is when you go to a mall, you find people standing with perfume bottles and they give you small swabs with perfume on it, right? Why is that necessary? Because if they don't do that, people will not notice the beautiful, alluring aroma inside the bottle. So unless you market yourself, unless you make your brand visible, one fine day, God forbid, if you lose a job, and then first few days you will, you'll be so disillusioned. There are people who lie in fetal position. They feel that the world has come crashing. I mean, that's not true. There are always other opportunities, but at that time, don't wake up to realize that it's been too late. So start working right now. Probably this is the last slide. Is this the last slide? Yeah, this is the last slide of the session. I want to now share with you something very personal. Okay, so this is from a brother to a brother or a brother to a sister, whatever you are. Guys, it is so nice to be employed. Okay, be a star employee, be an engaged employee, give your best. Okay, give more than you get. All that is fine. But at the same time, actively look for better opportunities. Trust me, you can be loyal to your company, and at the same time, you can be loyal to your dreams as well. Yeah. So always be on a lookout mode. That means being active on LinkedIn, connecting with mentors, keeping your CV up to date, because you never know what is going to happen. Sometimes even star performers are asked to leave, not because of your performance, maybe because of nationalization, maybe because you know uh, uh, somebody has a problem with your boss, and to hurt your boss, they push you out, maybe because of politics. So it could happen anytime. You could be a star, but you could lose your job. So don't wait for that to happen. Start actively looking for opportunities. Number two, please build capability. In case you lose a job, you should be in a position to use your skills to earn a living, at least till you get another job. Now, when I say this, you'll think, oh my God, how can I do that? Now, I'm a person who can proudly talk about it, because by God's grace, I've been doing it, because I've been working as a teacher, I've been working as a trainer, I've been in touch with industries. So naturally, when that source ends up, I was prepared. I had different opportunities. So if you think, oh, but I'm in purchasing, I'm in HR, I'm this thing, please understand that your skills are in demand. There are a lot of small and medium establishments here, thousands of small and medium establishments here, who started off with one person, two people, and then grew with no systems, nothing in place. Whatever you do, if a company is paying you today, that means your skill is valuable. There will be 1,000 others who want that skill. So please find a way to reach out and build your self capability. Point 3 and 4, yes, have a plan in place where you can start setting up a company where you employ other people and build a culture. And when you build a culture like that, I hope you'll be more compassionate to your people. Okay, where you don't fire them at the first juncture. And 4, first invest and then spend. First invest and then spend. First invest and then spend. I've had people who joined along with me. I came to the UAE in 2002, and there were people who earned much less than me, but right now they're in a much better position because they invested their money wisely. Okay, so guys, security, all of us cling to a job because of security. Security is good, right? Both my parents were government servants. My dad was a professor, mom was a doctor, and so they were government servants. So I also used to love security, that monthly salary that'll take care of all your expenses, and you go for holidays and you have fun. But understand that security is an illusion. It is an illusion. that can break at any time. So please don't put all your big eggs in one basket, and please don't put all your eggs in someone else's basket. So don't get me wrong, be a star employee, work hard, add value, contribute, do everything. But at the same time, in case that source goes away, you should be in a position to handle yourself. The world should not come crumble down. Okay, so you need to take care of that. For all those who know people who have lost their jobs, what we did is last week I was leading a webinar on strategies to get a job back. So we had Agni Skafadash, the managing director of Olam. We had Balram, who's a recruiter. Okay, we had Anson, who's another senior HR person. We were sharing those tips. Now this link is available on YouTube. It's 1 hour, 15 minutes or so. Extremely good points were discussed on what kind of a CV should you make, how should you reach out to prospective employers, how should you reach out to decision makers, what are some of the tools that you can use. I don't know whether you know this, right? LinkedIn now has restricted access to emails. So in the good old days, you can just go and click on info and get anybody's email. Now LinkedIn has blocked it. But there are certain software tools, free of them, with which you can fish those emails out. So all those we have covered in this session. So you could use that. So ladies and gentlemen, let me start with the first point. All of us are stressed. So many of us are stressed. Every day we keep hearing of people losing jobs. Okay, but don't let that stress stop you from acting. So those two strategies that I did. One, if an employee right sizing company is deployed. So what I've heard from the HR fraternity is more than 80% of big companies will do that soon. Okay, to get into wave 2, if not wave 3. So be prepared. Workload analysis, proving that your work is unique and not redundant, that is incumbent upon you. You will have to save your job. You'll have to do justice to your job. And at the same time, think about those engagement, that category 1 people who are engaged, and those 15 strategies. Now, you can listen to this webinar and you can say, oh, Dr. Sangeet Ibrahim gave a good webinar. We are thankful. And then you can stop doing all those. But that's not going to help you. You need to really, 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 really start working and thinking differently. Let me start. Let me now share a small video. I'll close this and I'll share a small video which could summarize what we said till now. We'll come back and address questions if any. Share application screen. Okay. Hope you can see this. This is my parting message before we get into questions. Be a good employee, be an amazing employee, be very loyal. Yeah, but at the same time, don't put all your eggs in one basket, particularly someone else. Okay. Somebody said something went wrong. What went wrong? Did I share the audio? I'm sorry. It's only 2 minutes. I'll share it again because you have to listen it with the audio. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, hope this session was useful. Thank you for Samira. Thank you. Thanks Maheshwari. Thanks Samina. You have any feedback? Thank you, Babu. Would love to hear your feedback as well. Because the whole objective of you doing this is to support you. Thank you, Wajida. Good to hear that it was useful. Hey, Samir, good to see you. Yeah, couple of questions that I have here is those who have posted it. You can continue to post questions if any. We have another 5-10 minutes. In an employer market like this, what can a candidate ask for? Will this make candidates underpaid? Ibrahim, can this be watched again? Yes, if you've registered for this webinar, Anupama is going to send you a link. So please feel free to share that link as well with people. Thank you, Hafiz. Thank you, brother. Uh, right now, if somebody is looking for a job, thank you, Sajan. If somebody was looking for a job and he goes to a recruiter, maybe he was getting a salary of, let's say, 20,000 dirhams. Okay, I'm just giving an example. Thank you, Chief. Is he ready to come down? This is the time when he has to be ready. If he's not ready to stand on his feet, if he needs a visa badly, if he needs insurance badly, okay, then this is the time for him to look at his bare minimum. Okay, thank you, Shravan. Hey, Shravan, happy that you're here. Yeah, thanks, Mary. And you had shared, I believe, the poster on LinkedIn. Yeah, thank you for this. So the whole point is this is the time for you to sustain. So this is not the time for you to demand, because there are people out there. In the last webinar that we did, my friend Balram was telling me that he posted information overloaded. Thank you. Inspiration overloaded. He said he applied, he's given a position, okay, for an HR officer, and he got more than 300 CVs. Okay, so there's a glut in the market. A lot of people have lost jobs. So this is not the time to negotiate for your salary. You get in, add value to the organization, things might start looking better by the end of the year. So nothing says that you have to work in a company for 10 years. Add value as long as you're there, and then keep looking out. Is salary negotiation possible in this market from a candidate side? Being a recruiter, I find it difficult. Clarify. See, you shouldn't underpitch yourself. There are people, let's say somebody who is, thank you, Sahil. It's a pleasure to get your feedback as well. You shouldn't be able to, you shouldn't pitch yourself. Let's look at it from a candidate's point of view. Next time you're joining a company, they'll always look at your previous salary, right? So if you're getting a previous salary of 10,000, you can't ask for 50,000, but maybe this guy was getting 40,000 before. Okay, so unless and until you can really justify why you chose to really undersell yourself, I don't think people should be ready to go that far down, because that dilutes your brand positioning. But understand that situation is, sort of not the best of situations around. So if you want to really hold on, be here. People could look for job opportunities in Qatar, in Saudi. People could look for back home. But if you really want to stay here, and if you're running out of funds, you should accept what is available. Thank you, Rafael. Purnima, thank you. But with all respect, is this information relevant to us right now for someone who's about to go to college and not employed yet? Beautiful question, Purnima. See, by the time you pass out of college, you know, the whole job environment is going to change. So what can help you is this might not help you immediately, but you can understand the kind of scenario that you're going to get into, let's say in 2 to 3 years time. So you could start preparing. For example, being bilingual if you're in the UAE, you know, that can definitely help you. Building on your employability, because more than your degree, you know, employers are looking at how quickly can you start being productive. So that is extremely important. So I hope those cues will help you, yeah, to outrun your competitors. So I have another question from a gentleman. I think it's a long question. Probably I would prefer to deal with him one-to-one on this. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Hope you loved it. Sunir, thank you, brother. Inshallah, the link which is available, I hope you can share it around and make sure others benefit also. Guys, really, really happy for the feedback. May God bless you too. Feedback that we are receiving here. Can I pass the mic on to Anupama if they have any particular questions about the university? Thank you, Jazeen. Thanks a lot. Or anything. I'll take leave for the time being, and probably Anupama could be here. Thank you, Nivedya. Any questions that you have, or Anupama can close this session. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much, Dr. Sangeet, and thank you so much for answering all the questions that the audience had. And certainly now it's time to start with some new reforms and then take some important measures and follow strategies and to reach out mentors and to be engaged and market ourselves. And all that you have explained us today, that was really helpful. That was positive, and we are quite sure that everyone has gained a lot from today's session, especially working professionals. And to everyone in the audience, we plan to have more sessions in future that will help and benefit students, working professionals, both of them equally. And we'll also have separate sessions related to the courses that we have at the University of West London RAB Branch campus. And about the upcoming events, the details will be posted on UWL UAE website. And with that note, it's time to wind up today's session. And we wish you all a very best. Good luck. Stay safe all. And bye for now. Thank you.